The GOP is in bad shape right now. They have no leaders, no likable candidates, and no new ideas. But the establishment believes that they have a savior in Paul Ryan. And I have Howard Nations with me now to tell us why Paul Ryan won't be able to save that failed party. Howard Nations, another Paul Ryan. Will this guy ever go away? Will Paul Ryan ever just go away? You know, the last story that I thought was significant about Paul Ryan is the American public figured out that he's this huge Ayn Rand fan. You know, of course, yeah. Ayn Rand hates poor people. She hates the idea of government doing anything that benefits people. It is all the law of the jungle. So Paul Ryan was out there saying, you know, Ayn Rand's really brilliant. She's my hero. She has set my policy, my course, my political policy. And so now, interesting change. What's this little switcheroo we're seeing with Paul Ryan, where he's talking about he feels your pain. He's talking about poverty and how he feels their pain. What's your take on this?
Well, my take is my favorite American philosopher was Ralph Waldo Emerson, who said, "Do your own thing and we shall know you." And Paul Ryan can say what he wants to say, but he's been doing his own thing ever since he's been in Congress. And he tells us that he is an acolyte of Ayn Rand, who wrote, of course, Atlas Shrugged. Atlas Shrugged is the Bible of the wealthy. Ryan says it's the most important book in his life. He requires all of his employees to read it. In today's world, the Atlas of Atlas Shrugged is Wall Street, it's the banks, it's the Chamber of Commerce, is, as he says, the makers, not the takers. Progressives believe that a rising tide lifts all ships. Objectivism of Ayn Rand says you ought to run smoother if you throw your dead weight overboard. So in Ryan's speech to his interns, he seems to be softening his position on poverty and criminal justice. He's actually just trying to become the voice of reason counter to Trump's inflammatory rhetoric.
Okay, so
forgive
Howard,
me if I don't buy into it.
Howard, what's your call? Okay, he's going to show up at the convention. Trump is just a mud puddle right now. Cruz is becoming more of a mud puddle every day. We're finding out now that, you know, it's not that he just has these relationships with other women. There's a possibility that he's on the madams list in 2 or 3 places. The guy obviously has some he has some orientation issues that we're going to be hearing about. So the point is it may be that Paul Ryan is the only game in town because Kasich, you know, for some reason, the Republicans have never embraced Kasich. You've got the Koch brothers putting millions and millions behind Paul Ryan. So read some tea leaves about that convention. What's going to happen with Paul Ryan?
Well, Paul Ryan is the fair-haired lad of the establishment. He's the protector of the status quo for the 1%. When he was chairman of Ways and Means Committee, he handled nothing but tax-cutting budgets. He was a protector of the tax breaks the corporate lobbyists fought so hard to get. As Speaker of the House, he's done the same thing. He's changing his rhetoric. He's not changing his policy. He's posing as the anti-Trump. The fact is he's wholly owned by the wealthiest Americans. Now, he's going to be chairman of the convention. He is the establishment that will have to stop Trump. He'll stop him through the Credentials Committee, through the Rules Committee. You know, delegates are pledged to vote on the first ballot, but they're not pledged to follow current rules. So as convention chair, Ryan can get in there and change the rules and not seat delegates that Trump allegedly won. But
Howard, let me ask you, the rules can be changed on the fly. I mean, that's what people don't understand. I mean, Paul Ryan gets in there, he can change the rules on the fly. And if he does, he opens the door for the just total destruction of Trump, the total minimalization of the importance of Ted Cruz. He can do all that, can't he?
Yes, he can. They also, in the Credentials Committee, we've already seen in Louisiana where Trump won the state that Cruz has gotten half the delegates. A lot of manipulation. That's through the Credentials Committee. So there are a lot of things that he, as the head of the convention, can do. But you know what's interesting, Pap, is who's missing from this. This is a presidential race. It's a Republican primary. Where is Karl Rove, the puppeteer in chief for the establishment?
Right.
Where's Sheldon Adelson? Where are the Koch brothers with their $700 million? Where are they in this race? So there are either one of two plans in place, probably. The extremely wealthy donors of the policy have either decided to concede the White House and put their money into the states or into Congress to protect the Senate, the House, the governorships, or they decided to replace Trump and Cruz at the Republican convention. I predicted some time ago that Trump was going to win the elections and be replaced at the convention by Romney. When Romney came forth to attack Trump, I said, okay, there's their guy. But now the speculation is that it's going to be Ryan. I don't think Ryan wants it.
No, I don't think he wants it either. He's been through this one time already with Mitt Romney. It didn't have a good ending. Matter of fact, there were so many attacks on what a nothing candidate he was, about his lack of understanding about really economic issues, which he comes to the table saying that I'm the economics guy, and when they started looking at his economics voodoo, it was nothing more than trickle down voodoo dressed up a little differently, but it was exactly the same trickle-down voodoo that we know doesn't work. It was the biggest lie ever told by the Republicans. Ronald Reagan looked into a camera and just bold-faced lied to the American public about how trickle-down economics had been proven and was going to work in the United States. It's the biggest economics lie that we've been told in a very long time. And Ryan was just an extension of that, wasn't he?
Well, Ryan has protected the tax breaks. He's given tax cuts, and his policies decimate the safety net. So he's talking about being two-faced, talking about poverty now. He has always been the one that's just decimated the tax breaks. And you know, the people who really are the puppets, most important puppets of the rich, are the House Ways and Means chair, where he did that very well, and the Speaker of the House, because they control the budgets that protect all these tax breaks that they get. And yes, he's decimated safety nets. He's protected the rich all the way through. So, but I don't think it's in his best interest. The Republicans have a major problem. If they eliminate Trump, it's going to cause a revolt, which is probably going to lead Hillary to win. It's better for Ryan if he guides it to Romney. Romney has a good base. He's not going to win. But Ryan should be assured of the House speakership for 6 more years at least, due to their successful gerrymandering.
Now, you mentioned Hillary to win. Of course, you and I may disagree on this. Sanders is not out of this race. It's the media telling everybody that Sanders is out of this race. Every day, I'm seeing that edge up. It's just a matter of time. Does he have time? And if he takes Wisconsin, it's a whole different ballgame, Howard.
If he takes Wisconsin, it is a different ballgame, but she's going to take New York. He's not going to touch her in New York, and she's got the biggest. She's going to get the biggest states in the union. Plus, she's got the superdelegates, so it's going to be very tough. But either way, if a Democrat wins the White House, which they certainly should, Ryan is far better off to stay as the House Speaker. He's going to have at least 6 more years to 2022 because of the successful gerrymandering of the Republican Party in the House. We can't take it back because of gerrymandering until after the 2020 census. And so he gets 6 years there, and then he'll be the logical person to follow, the logical Republican to follow whoever the Democratic president is.
The truth is the Republicans don't have a bench anymore. I mean, it's like the Democrats. Democrats don't have a bench either. And it's all what's happened is it's almost like there's just been too much nepotism. There's just been the establishment politicians have just thinned out the real potential ranks so much that there just is there's no possibility of real leadership. And so they've got that problem, and which is a great thing for Paul Ryan. I mean, if you're thinking about it here, Ryan has a chance now to say, look, I know I'm not that attractive, but I'm a heck of a lot more attractive than most of the candidates the Republicans have to put forward. Don't you kind of see it playing itself out like that?
I see it very much playing itself out. Ryan is and shall remain the fair-haired lad of the establishment. Once they get all this Trump revolt, all the revolt of the right behind them, And it's going to cost them a lot to put that behind them. But once they put all that behind them, they come back to the establishment. If there is still an establishment there, then Ryan is going to obviously be the guy, because he's always been and always will be the protector of the 1%.
Howard Nations, thank you for joining us. Let's follow this Ryan story a little closer, okay? Appreciate it.
My pleasure, Pap. Thanks.